Okay, so do I push that? Do I put, you want me to push a button there? Because there's a little, hello. There's a little message on my screen, so we're gonna take care of that. Hello, everybody. Thanks for attending our Sculpey Live class. I welcome you to the Sculpey Design Studio. I'm Amy Karanik. I'm a Sculpey brand ambassador, and I'm very excited about these projects. These 3 projects we're doing today are some of my favorites in liquid Sculpey. So we're gonna make these little earrings. Cool, they've got flowers, little flowers embedded in them. We're also gonna make these super cool earrings, and we got some neat findings to go with those. And we're gonna finish the class off with this nice pendant, which you might recognize here. And these are all liquid Sculpey designs. It's so easy to use, and I'm so excited. So please, if you have questions, please type your questions in the chat bar. Jen is answering questions there, and she'll also bring questions to me. And when you ask questions, it makes me a better instructor. So let's get started with our projects. And the first one we're going to do is the floral earrings here. Let me show you those again because they're super cool. These have little dried flowers embedded in the clear areas here. And then this area up here is our beautiful amber translucent color. And we're going to use our Sculpey silicone mold. This is our jewelry mold, and you'll see it's so cool because it has these little posts built into every shape. That way you have the ability to make things that are pre-drilled, and you can just put your earring findings and your jump rings right through the holes. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how I did the one, because this mold, since I used the big shape, we have to make one at a time. So what I'll do is show you how to fill the mold, and then I'll show you how it looks when it comes out of the oven. I'm going to start with the amber translucent, and I have already stirred this, and I'm going to put that in the top. Now in the bottom area where my little flowers are, I'm going to use clear liquid Sculpey. It is the clearest liquid on the market. And I want to talk a little bit about how to use clear liquid Sculpey because this is very important. So let me just give you a little demo about how to stir it. Clear liquid Sculpey, it kind of has this natural process where it kind of separates in the bottle. And so what you want to do is reach way down in there and pull up some of that sediment out of the bottom. It's completely natural that it would do that. I'm going to try to grab some of that and show it to you if I can. And I'm not able to get it to come up, but I can feel it down in there, and you can feel that clear liquid, the separated sediment in the bottom. And what you need to do is scrape that out of the bottom and mix it back in with your liquid. Now it doesn't take very long and it's not a big deal, but this, like many other craft products, needs to be stirred. All of our liquid Sculpeys need to be stirred. This one just needs to be stirred the most. And when I use it in my home studio, sometimes I will dump the entire bottle into a little glass or silicone dish, and that makes it easier to stir. And I also stir clear liquid Sculpey every single time I use it. That gives me the clearest clear it can possibly be. And so we want this to work well. We want to keep it stirred. Okay, so I can feel that that is getting reincorporated now. So I'm going to pull my, and this is a knitting needle that I used. I was stirring pretty vigorously there. And so I like to use a tool that is easily replaceable. I don't care what happens to it. I just don't use my good, delicate tools, you know, like your etch and pearls or some of those needle tools that are finer. I wouldn't use those as stirring tools. So I'm going to put the lid back on. The reason I didn't dump it in the dish for you guys is because I actually need this in squirt mode today. So I didn't dump it out in there, but other classes I do dump it completely out. So back to the mold. What I'm going to do is start with my amber translucent, and I'll put these out here so you can focus on what I'm going for. The amber translucent is at the top. The trick I use for making sure that that little post gets completely surrounded, I take the tip of the bottle, which is completely open right now, and I push on that little post. I push it over, and then I squirt some of the amber. Then I do the exact same thing on the other side of the post. I push the post over and squirt the amber right up to it. That ensures that that post is completely surrounded with the liquid. Super important to get that completely surrounded because that needs to be strong to hold your jewelry findings after baking. Okay, so I have some amber translucent at the top, and right now I am not at all concerned about filling this to the level. I'm just marking my boundaries of where I want the amber, and now this is the clear, and I'm double checking that it's the clear because it actually just looks like white in the bottle, and you can see that the clear is super runny. So now I'm just letting the clear swim around and fill up the rest of the space. Okay, now here's a little trick that I like to do, because this mold has really nice little sharp edges in there. And so to make sure that I've got my liquid all the way down into the sharp edge, because that's where an air bubble is going to want to live, I just take my needle tool and I poke it right into that corner, and I gently go back and forth, making sure to release air bubbles along these edges. And I do that on the inner side too. Now, I don't need to do it with the clear because the clear is so runny and thin, but I am doing it there with the amber translucent. Okay, next it's the fun part where we get to add the flowers. So the flowers that I'm using, these are from Fingernail Art, and clear liquid Sculpey is so fun to embed things in. You can put glitter, you can put like these dried flowers, you can put little chunks of herbs and spices. You can put all kinds of things in liquid Sculpey, gold leaf, chunky glitter, mica powder, all kinds of stuff, even little dried flowers. So what I want to do is I'll just hold this little dried flower over the clear area, and I'm just going to snip and hopefully get these to land right down in there. And this is a neat project because it's very random. But just imagine like if you had certain colors that you were going to use for a wedding, and you wanted to create some earrings for your bridesmaids or something, you could dry flowers, or you could buy these little types of things and make everyone perfectly coordinated earrings. If you had flowers that were left over from a party or from a prom or a homecoming, you could dry those and, you know, put them in clear liquid Sculpey, and they would be permanently preserved. So just a great way to like preserve a memory. I'm also going to show you how, like if you have flowers that aren't that little size, I just put in there. This is a tiny little guy, and I can just even put that in there, like a whole little flower. And kits like these have leaves. They have all different kinds of colors. You might want to test some of your colors. Some of the colors will change a bit. Like a lot of the purples and the blues might change a little bit. They might shift in the oven, in the heat. And so you want to just do a test of that and make sure that they come out the way you want them to. All right, now that I have my flowers in there, I want them to be completely encased in the liquid. So I'm double checking that this is the clear, and I'm going to go with a little dribble right back over the top.
Hey, Amy, we
yes.
need to fix something happened.
Oh, okay. What do we need to do? Hello. Jen needs to fix my overhead camera, and that happens when you're live. So I'll make sure you don't miss anything when we get back. So there we are, Jen. Thank you. All right. So please encase those flowers completely in the clear. Just drip some of this clear back over the top of them. And if you have any floaters in there, you can just tap them down with your tweezers. Make sure they are in there. Okay. And liquid Sculpey cleans up super easily with paper towel. Just wipe your tools clean. And then I'm going to go back and add a little more of the translucent amber, because I don't have my mold completely filled to level. And I like it when it's filled to level. I think that's the best look. Now that I have the mold filled, what I want to do is just tap it on my work surface. That way those liquids will kind of move around and fill up all the little cracks and crevices. This is especially important if you have like a super detailed mold. Okay, now that is ready to go in the oven. We would bake this one, and if you just have one mold, then we would take that one out of the mold when it's cool and fill it again. I want to give you a really quick baking tip that I have come up with for thin molds. This is a baking tray that I use all the time in my home oven, and this is a heat-safe oven mitt, or hot pad. And I know it doesn't have that polyfill in it because it's heat resistant all the way through and through. It has like a heat resistant fill. And this is important. If you don't have this kind of a hot pad, you could substitute a dish towel. And what you want to do is get this completely wet and then wring out all the moisture that you possibly can. Okay. Then you put this down on your baking tray and put your mold right on top. Now that protects thinner molds like this one from warping in the oven, and it also helps your pieces to bake completely evenly from top to bottom all the way through. Here's a couple that I baked using that method, and you can see that they're just completely level. There's no warping, no bubbling. That technique of baking in that way, I got that from people who bake cakes. And sometimes the outside of the cake will bake faster than the inside, and you'll get this big hump in the middle of your cake. Well, it's the same way with thinner molds. They can misshapen and warp a bit in the oven, and we don't want that. We want our pieces to be nice and flat. So that's how you get the piece out of the mold. Now I want to show you something really quick. This mold also insulates the liquid just a bit. And so see how much shinier this one is. This one's real shiny, and this one is still a bit matte. What I did was, while this was still in the mold, I just hit it with my heat gun until it became completely shiny. And so that is what you could do with this one as well. If we have time later, I'll go back and show you that method. But for now, I just want to show you that once it comes out of the mold, you can really see the little flowers encased in there in that clear area. It's just beautiful. And then if you have any little boo-boos or little areas where the liquid Sculpey kind of went over the edge of the mold, I like to just go in and clean those up with scissors. Sometimes I get in a little bit of a hurry and I splash some liquid Sculpey out, and it leaves a little, bit sticking out. So I just clean them up with scissors or with a sharp knife. And then that is ready for assembly into earrings. So let's move on to the next project. And then at the end, if we have lots of extra time, I'll show you how those were assembled. But I want to make sure you get all the liquid Sculpey techniques that I want to show you here. So are we good?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so next, this is a pair of earrings that were made using our 3-dimensional jewelry mold. And this is a really cool mold. It has these little supports on it. It has several different shapes in it. It has this beautiful half round. It has a couple little cubes. It has a rectangle, a square, and then it has 2 sticks over here. So this pair of earrings I made using the rectangle shape. And what again here, when you do this one, you're going to pour your rectangle, you're going to bake it, and then take it out and then do it again. So let me show you how I did that. This mold comes with these 2 sticks inside the box. Don't get rid of those. You're going to need those. Okay, so I'm focusing on that rectangle right there. And what I did for this technique was to pour 3 colors of liquid all at once. In painting, this is called a dirty pour. I'm going to put all 3 colors of the liquid in here and then pour them all at once into the mold. And this yields a completely random pattern, but it's beautiful and it's fun to do. So first I'm starting out with navy metallic, and then I'm going to add white. I'm just opening my bottles. These are already stirred. I'm just opening my bottles all the way up, and I'm squirting the white. And now this is rose gold. So I'm kind of putting these sort of in a pie shape here in my dish. Now, I want you to know that it's really important in a pour like this that all three of your liquids are similar in consistency. And so if they're not similar in consistency, when you're stirring them, you can feel with your stirring stick, like your knitting needle or whatever you're stirring with, if they're too thick. If they're too thick, you should add a few drops of Sculpey clay softener and thinner, and then mix it completely in, and then try it again. So here I have like a little pie shape. Well, it's a blurry pie shape, but that's fine, of my three colors. Next, I want to put the blue on top of a different color that's not blue. So I'm just layering my colors. And then I want to put the white on a different color. So I'm putting it on the rose gold. And then I'll put the rose gold on top of the original blue areas, like so. And I'm going to do this one more time. So next I want to put the blue here because there's no blue in this area. The navy metallic. And I'll put the white on top of the rose gold. And I'll put the rose gold on top of the navy metallic. And I'm just kind of letting them swim around in there willy-nilly, okay? This is a plastic little silicone baking cup that you can get in any baking department of your craft stores. And I like them because see how flexible they are? I'm gonna actually flex this pretty hard to make a pour spout on the edge so that I can pour my liquid right into that shape. Also, a great thing about these little cups is when you're all done, you can get them as clean as you possibly can and then bake the residue and just peel it right out, and then the cup is reusable. Okay, so I'm going to pinch my cup as best as I can, making a little skinny spout, and then I'm going to hover over the rectangle shape, and I'm just going to let it pour in how it will. Now I'm trying really hard to keep my pour in the exact same spot so that down inside the mold, those colors are layering themselves however they want to. So I'm keeping the flow going right down the center, allowing the liquids to flow out how they want. And I'm going to go all the way up to level like that. Okay. So there's my rectangle that's full. You can see on the top, there's kind of a little swirly pattern. This mold is translucent so that you can see. I'm going to try to show you. You can see how full it is. You can see what's happening there with the pattern. Let me show you my baked one just so I can illustrate how from the side you can see the layers of colors right through the translucence. This comes in super handy when you want to layer colors inside that deep mold and you can't really see what you're doing. Next, I want to add a jump ring into the liquid here so that it will be ready to string. So I have these two metal rods. These are the rods that come with the mold. Now what those are for is that this mold has these little brackets molded right into it, and that holds the metal rod perfectly in place over each of the shapes. And there's a series of brackets here too. So all you have to do is suspend your jump ring or your eye pin or a piece of wire, whatever finding you prefer, you just suspend that from the metal rod and then hover over the place that you just poured the liquid and then dip it right down in there.
Again.
Okay.
Come on, I'm sorry.
Okay. So Jen's fixing our camera and I'm going to show you. I'll get right back to it. Not going to miss anything. I'll show you how it works. There we go. Hello. Okay. I'm just trying to hold this in place so that you guys don't miss anything. Wish I knew a good joke about now, but can't think of one. Time for coffee. Hope you all have a cup of coffee or something else fun. Okay, I see us in portrait mode there, Jen. I can see my hands up there in portrait mode. So yeah, we might just have to do it from portrait mode, but that'll be okay. It'll work. Okay, so I've got my little rod. I have the jump ring down in the liquid. I have my little rod suspended over the mold, and I'm just gonna carefully balance the rod right in those little brackets. And what I want to do is a double check here to make sure my jump ring is right in the middle of the shape. So I'll just line it up like that. This is going to go in the oven and bake following the baking instructions for liquid Sculpey. And then that jump ring is going to be in there permanently. Because the jump ring is round, it won't be able to be pulled out. So this is going in the oven. And then here's one I already did so that I can show you how it looks when it comes out. So let me get myself oriented because we're kind of going a different direction now. So this is the baked one. All you have to do is slide this little rod out, and please keep these safe. Don't lose them. Now, this is really suctioned in here. It's a little bit hard to get out by itself because it's really conforming to the mold, which it should do, which we want it to do. So let me show you a trick for releasing it. First, just pull the side walls of the mold away from the baked liquid, creating a little gap. And you can even, like, if I stick my needle tool in here, you can see that I can get that in there, creating a gap between the side wall and the baked liquid piece. Now I'll just open up this is my clay softener and thinner. Let me get that where you can see it. And I'm just going to drop a drip of this. It only takes one drop right in that gap. And I got 2 drops, I'm sure. Now I'll take my needle tool and I'll stick it in that gap and I'll run it all the way around. So what I'm doing is dragging that liquid, even though it's only a drop or 2, all the way around the molded piece. Just take your time and distribute that liquid all the way around. It's kind of oily, and so it acts as a really good release between the baked clay and the edge of the mold. Now all you have to do is just squeeze the mold from the bottom and push your baked piece out. And here it comes. Once it starts out, you can just pull it out. And then what I want to do is always clean up my mold with paper towel. And I'm going to clean, it's got a little residue on it from the liquid thinner. So I'll just wipe that off. But you can see the beautiful layers of colors that are in there from doing that, from pouring those colors all at once. But also, you know, I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble getting under the, there we go. Also, you know that when you do that, depending on how many layers you do and how many colors, how thick your layers are, you're going to get a different look every single time. It looks kind of like, you know, the sides of the Grand Canyon or something. It's all layered and striated like that. So it's really, really pretty. Now our jump ring is completely embedded in there, so it's ready to be assembled. And let's move on to the agate pendant, and then I'll show you how to assemble these. Set that aside for now. Okay, here is the agate pendant that we're going to work on making. There we go. It's okay, Jen. I'm afraid if you touch it, that will, I'm afraid for you to move it. So I just need to, you know, get myself right in line. Okay, this is going to work best if you have a little piece of glass. And these are floating bezels. They're metal. They come in different colors. You can see here I've got one that is rose gold. The one I'm wearing is like an antique gold. And if you have a piece of glass to mount this to, this will work really well. That's what this one is already mounted to the glass. So let me show you how I did that. I'm going to go over here to a clean area of my glass. I'm just going to lay this flat, and I'm going to use clear liquid Sculpey. And this is going to be a temporary adhesive to hold the bezel down and to create a little dam around the outside so that my colors of liquid Sculpey won't float out underneath. So all I have to do is border the outside edge of my bezel with a bead of clear liquid Sculpey. Just let the liquid Sculpey follow the edge of that metal, and this will create just a leak-proof little dam. Okay, then what you want to do is bake this in your preheated oven following the baking instructions for liquid Sculpey. And when it comes out, you will have this situation where your bezel is mounted down, you can't move it, and it's ready to fill with our colors of liquid Sculpey. Now I'm going to move this one that I just squirted so I don't end up wearing it. So just going to wipe that up off the glass. Okay. Now we're ready to fill. So for this one, are we doing okay, Jen?
Mhm.
Okay. All righty. Our background is going to be a beautiful purple color that we're actually going to create.
You know, Amy,
Yes.
someone has a question. Can you use hot glue too to save your clear liquid Sculpey?
I think you could use hot. Well, probably not, because the hot glue would probably reheat in the oven, and then it might reheat and run away. That is a really good question. I appreciate that question very much, but I would think it might not work so well. Now I did try, I'm going to stir this for just a second, just to make sure. I did try white craft glue, because white craft glue, like Elmer's and Aleene's tacky glue, they go in the oven really well. But I glued my bezel down with that, and it made such a thick border that I got super tired of waiting for it to dry, and I stuck it in the oven and it bubbled up. So that was not really the best option either, unless you really had the patience to let that thick bead of glue dry for a long time. Okay, I stirred my clear a little bit more. I'm putting the lid back on, and I'm going to use another one of these little baking cups to make a purple color. So I'm just going to fill as much in the bottom of this little cup as I need to do some doodling here in my bezel. So it's not really a lot. Just kind of, this is about probably a ½ ounce cup, just to give you an idea of the size. Now this is Pinata color Passion Purple. And this is an alcohol ink, and alcohol inks work super well with liquid Sculpey, but I only want 1 drop. Alcohol inks are super duper concentrated. And this is a tester that I did to see how the color would come out. And I like that color a lot. So I'm just telling you that you might want to test your alcohol inks by creating a little tester puck, because it's a little bit difficult to tell how it's actually going to come out of the oven, because they do change color a little bit once it's baked. So making a nice purple, plus I'm tinting clear liquid Sculpey. That's what this is. And because it's clear, that kind of, changes the effect of the color as well. Okay, I've got my purple all mixed up. And now, because I've got my little dam there, I can just pour this right in. And what I want to do is pour just a layer. I'm not going to fill it all the way up, because we need extra room inside there to pour our other colors. We're trying to make sort of an agate looking piece. So I would say that's filled up about halfway. And then what I can do is just go in and poke air bubbles with a needle tool, like so. All right, next I want to add my different colors to create this sort of an agate look. And this is my finished piece. Look how pretty that is. It's a really great piece. So I'm really proud of that. Okay, I'm going to go in with some gold first. And I kind of worked my design from the edge. So I'm just going to drip some gold in here along the edge. And you can see how, because I have that purple background, it kind of moves. And that's pretty cool. I like that it does that. I like the movement that is created. Next, I'm going to go with a navy metallic, and I'm just going to pin or squeeze out a really thin line like so. And I'm kind of trying to follow, that curved edge. And now this is white. And I'm going to do some more gold. Out here, kind of trying to keep that curve going that creates some really nice movement. Maybe I'll just put a little bit of the navy in here. And it all kind of spreads and moves around. Now, to make it even more organic, what I can do is go in here and drag like this blue line isn't solid. So I can just put my needle tool right in it and drag it through like this. And then wipe your tool, and I can drag the other end. And then clean your tool. I can also pick up some of this purple that we have mixed up. I can pick that up on my needle tool, and I can kind of insert that in some areas to make thinner lines. Like this white is a good area. That white was kind of too thick. And if you just drag with the motion of the lines you already have, you can make some super, super skinny details like that. All right, I feel like we need a little bit more white up close to our gold there. That gold is really thick. I'm going to put some white there, and then I'm going to go back in and add some more of my purple on this needle tool. Just going to drip it in there. I dripped it, and now I'm dragging it to create those really skinny lines. Okay, now sometimes agate will have, I'm just trying to orient this to myself so I can deal with it a little easier. Sometimes agate will have like a neat sparkly center. And so I want to mimic that with some glitter. And this is my new favorite colored glitter. It's Mr. Nola's glitter, and the color name is Ellen. What a great name for glitter. I'm just going to take this little tool and go in here and get some of that glitter. And I'm going to keep all my glitter right over here by the edge. So it looks like if this was a slice of agate that is just kind of coming off the bezel, off the edge of the bezel. And then it's okay to let some of the, the excess glitter distribute itself like out into the stripy area. I think that looks really pretty. All right, that would go into the oven to be baked following the baking instructions for liquid Sculpey. So this gets baked again. And then this is how it looks when it comes out. So I have that clear edge that I use to mount my piece down, and I want to show you how to release it from the glass and how to clean it up so it's ready to wear. So you need to take something really thin, like the edge of a blade will work nicely, and just get under the edge. You might even peel up this liquid Sculpey edge just to get it started. And then you can put your blade under there, and you just want to really carefully pry this up off the glass. Once you get under the bezel, it'll come up real easily. Yay, I did it without cutting myself, because I was just telling Jen what a klutz I am. So there you go, but you have this weird, this weird edge. And so we can just remove that with some sharp scissors. Like so. And you can even peel that away. Like if some of it got up on the sides, like right here, you can just peel it right off the outside edge. I just use the scissors to get it started, and then I'm peeling it away. Beautiful. Look at that. Then this is ready for a jump ring and then a necklace chain. So super pretty. Now, if you wanted to, you could go back. It's not quite level. You could add another layer of clear liquid Sculpey and bake it again, or hit it with a heat gun just to top that up all the way to level. And that's what I did with this one, because I actually loaded this one with as much clear liquid Sculpey as I possibly could, so that it would be not only level, but it's actually kind of a little bit above level. And look how pretty it is from the back too. So the light really shines through this and makes it look pretty. All right, I'm going to do a time check so that we can see. Oh, we got plenty of time to talk about assembly. Good. Okay, so that one's easy enough. That would just get a jump ring right through that loop and a chain. So we'll set that one aside. Let's go to this one. This one is so kind of unique because what I did was designed these elements to be used with these beautiful kite-shaped metal connectors. These are from cherry tree beads, and they're kind of an antique gold color. And I thought, well, I just wanted something to look like it was suspended in there. And that's why I actually chose this rectangular shape, because it just fits in here perfectly, like so. It fits in there so well, you know, that it almost could stay by itself. So then once I had that inside the connector, I want you to see this from the side. I want to make sure the connector is, that my clay piece is exactly in the center of the connector. Then all I had to do was add jump rings to this outside, which would also connect it to the earring. So I'll just grab a couple pliers and show you how I did that. So when you open a jump ring, I like to use 2 pairs of pliers because it's the safest way to do it without destroying the jump ring. You grab the jump ring, and I have the gap in the jump ring facing you. And what I want to do is move 1 pair of pliers away from me and 1 toward me. So I'm twisting the jump ring open like so. That way, you always twist them open. You don't ever stretch them open. If you twist them like this, it will preserve the tension that's inside the metal. And then when you twist it back, it will want to line right back up perfectly with itself. Now I just do the opposite. I grab both sides of the jump ring and I twist 1 toward me and 1 away from me, and line up those 2 connecting ends of the jump ring just like that. And you want to get those little connecting ends super tight together. That way your thin earring findings, you know, won't fall off later. Now for this earring, we want to put 1 of those jump rings on both sides of that metal connector. We'll put 1 on each side. That way, when we attach the earring, the connector can't come out of the middle, and the liquid Sculpey piece can't be removed either. So now I have 2 jump rings on either side of the top of the connector, like so. And all I have to do is open up an ear wire and connect it to both of those. Now ear wires are the same. You want to just twist the loop in the ear wire one direction. You don't ever want to stretch them open. Just twist it, put both of those jump rings in there, and then twist it back. Take your time and be very gentle, because ear wires are super thin and delicate, and you can break them if you open and close them too many times. So there we go. I've got the ear wire in both of those jump rings. I've got the art piece hooked to both jump rings on either side of the metal connector. Here it is from the side. And it's completely, you know, trapped in there, so it can't come out. I was pretty happy with that design. Okay, let's move on to, let's go back to this piece. And I have some jump rings here. And we'll just put one of these in, and then it will be ready for the ear wire. I don't think I have an ear wire there, but so this is about our molded pieces. They take between a 6 and an 8 millimeter jump ring is what works really well with them. So I'm twisting the jump ring open, and then that goes right through that little hole where the post is embedded, like so. Now, these earrings, because the hole goes through the art this way, we need to add a tiny little jump ring to change the direction. So I'm going to add another jump ring. This is about a 4 millimeter. I'm going to add that to my open ring before I close it. Now I'll just grab both sides of the jump ring and twist them toward each other to close that up tightly. And then my ear wire would go right on this little 4 millimeter jump ring, just like this. The 4 millimeter jump ring turns the art back to the proper orientation with your face, and that puts it right in line to go with the ear wire. So that's how that works. Okay, I think we have some time where we could talk about the heat gun if you'd like to. Let me clean up this mess just a little tiny bit. I promised a little heat gun demo. So this piece is the one that I told you, this has been baked in the oven, but it has not had any extra heat applied. And you can see that the one that I applied extra heat to is really much shinier than this one. So maybe if I take this out, you can see the difference that I'm talking about. So this one is way shinier than this one. All right, but when I do the heat gun, I like to leave this in the mold because the mold creates a lot of support for the heated piece. So the best way to do this is when this comes out of the oven, it's already hot. And so you want to approach it with some hand protection. And then we're going to apply even more heat from my heat gun. Now, this is the heat gun that I'm using. I stole this from my husband's workshop. It's a Milwaukee, like, do-it-yourself home store type heat gun. It's very hot. It gets, I think it gets up to close to 500 degrees on the high setting, which makes this process go really fast. But if your mold is already hot from the oven and you're careful to handle it, put it on a heat-safe, heat-resistant, like a silicone, trivet like this. If you have something like that, you want to protect your work surface from the super high heat. My gun has a low and a high setting, and I'm going to use the high because it goes faster. It would even go faster if this was actually hot, but it's not. So I'm going to turn this on, and once I do, I'm not going to try to talk so that you can see. What you want to look for is for this amber area to get real shiny, and this clear area will go really clear. So I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to be quiet while I work the gun. You feel it's getting warm. And then I have a heat safe tray off to the side that I just laid my heat gun in. Now I think, can you tell how shiny that is? I hope that you can. I would want to wait till this is completely cool before I pop it out. The piece is quite hot, and I don't want it to get, accidentally distorted or bent. So I would leave it in there till it's cool. This side of the mold isn't so hot. That's why I'm able to hold it. But right there where the baked piece is, That is really, really hot. There we go. That is pretty hot. So I would let it cool in here before I take it out and handle it. So that is my heat gun demonstration. And if is there any other questions, Jen, that we need to address? Okay, so I'm going to scooch back over here, and thank you so much for coming to our Liquid Sculpey jewelry class, and really appreciate you being here. Please, if you decide to try some of these techniques and you want to post to social media, please use the hashtag Sculpey or how to use Sculpey. And we would love to see what you've made. That way, if you use one of those hashtags, we can easily find you and see what you've made. This video will be ready for you to watch in just a few days. That way, if you actually want to try the projects, you can get your supply list filled, and you can use the video at your own speed and your own timing to recreate these projects. So,
and the projects will also be on our website.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
And Jen's telling me that tomorrow these projects will be uploaded to Sculpey.com, and you can get them with step-by-step photos and written instructions. So we're trying to provide all kinds of ways for you to succeed at the same projects. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you next time on Sculpey Live. Take care. Bye-bye.